Greetings and welcome to Healthy Additions for Feast Day Celebrations, the third installment of our series called A Healthy Take on Familiar Foods, where we look at practical ways to incorporate more healthy plant-based foods into our nutrition or food routine. My name is Gabriel Garden. I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and health educator at New Mexico Department of Health. I made this series in collaboration with my program manager, Rita Condon. Thank you for joining us. This presentation is funded in part by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Education Grant. We thank our funder. The overview for today's presentation. Reflections. We're going to look at some of the tips that we've reviewed over the past 2 years, like why eat more plants, simple tricks for making that possible, some reality checks because we all encounter obstacles regularly. So how do we overcome them? And finally, why it's worth it. Then we'll jump into our recipes. Our entree will be polenta made with beans and greens, served with a wonderful side salad with 2 delicious homemade dressings. Finally, to satisfy our sweet tooth, we'll have a Native American inspired parfait. Why eat more plants? Simple and easy. They're good for us. When we incorporate lots of different plants and lots of different colors, we're going to do right by our health. So think fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans or legumes, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices, and don't forget the other one that's not technically a plant, but we throw it in there usually with vegetables, mushrooms. These 7 different types of foods we want to incorporate on a consistent basis, and we want lots of different variety when it's accessible to us, when it's affordable, because that variety, those different colors, those different types of fiber that are found in these different plant foods help to improve the health of our guts, and then better gut health leads to better whole body health. So eat your plants, eat lots of them, eat lots of different kinds all the time. And then enjoy the health and vitality to do what you love most. I love playing sports, being active, working out, going on runs and hikes. And I know that wouldn't be possible to do, especially as I age, unless I took really good care of my nutrition. Simple tricks. None of us exist in isolation. We didn't create skyscrapers and smartphones and houses with comfortable beds in isolation. We did it because human beings behave and collaborate really well together in large groups. We behave cooperatively. And so apply the same rule to nutrition. It's hard to do these things on our own, but when we bring people onto our nutrition team, family members, friends, coworkers, neighbors, or other people in your community, we're all surrounded by people. We need to reach out, build relationships, because then in turn, those relationships pay back through people who are willing to stand behind us in our corner. Ask us, hey, how are you doing? Did you make that recipe that we talked about, that new healthy recipe? Or they might even cook it with you or for you, or you can do it together virtually over the phone if you can't get together in person. There's lots of ways to make this a success, but we need to reach out to those around us because a support system helps to keep us successful, especially in the long run. Reality checks. It takes time and practice to develop any new skill, whether it's playing a sport or an instrument, or learning some essential skill that we went to school for that we incorporate into our profession. So it's the same with healthy eating. We need to practice it over time. We need to be willing to make mistakes. And if we do it consistently with persistence, we're going to get better at it. We're going to start to enjoy those healthy foods more because our palate, our taste buds literally start to change. Stick with it. Don't give up. It will pay off with better health. Make celebrations rare and appropriate. Think of eating the really rich, unhealthy foods that there's no problem with eating because it's important to have celebrations and to enjoy some rich, decadent food sometimes. But if we enjoy them too often, it's going to crowd out all the healthy food that we're trying to incorporate more of as part of our healthy lifestyle. So instead, eat lots of healthy foods, find ways to make those healthy foods celebratory, like the Native American inspired parfait that we're going to finish off with today. And then on a rare occasion, birthday, graduation, anniversary, have some of those foods that aren't part of your normal healthy eating routine. Be a role model for kids. If they're not eating their fruits and veggies, they need to be surrounded by loving adults who are being a lighthouse, showing them the way. And eventually they're going to want to go toward the lighthouse. They're going to want to say, oh, that adult is so positive. They're so full of energy. They're so encouraging. It must have something to do with what they're eating. The kids will catch on. They will get excited. Get them out into a garden so they can see how food is grown. Get them in the kitchen so they can be involved in the process. They can use their hands to make the food that's being served at the family table. They'll be more likely, once they've taken ownership, to start trying and enjoying new foods. I've mentioned better energy. When you eat well, your body starts to function more effortlessly, and then you get more energy in the process to do more of what you love. You get more joy of spending time with loved ones because you have energy to enjoy that time. And then it helps us care for our land and resources. We eat well, we're able to take better care of the land around us and the food that we eat. If it's minimally processed, if it's food as grown, food as we see it in nature, it takes less water, less land, less resources, so we can care for our land for generations to come. All right, our recipe demos. We have lots of beautiful photos to show you for every step of the way. Polenta with beans and greens. Take 1.5 cups of polenta, which is a medium grind cornmeal, 5 cups of water or broth, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1 teaspoon dried culinary sage. You're going to bring that water and spices to a boil. Slowly add your cornmeal or polenta while stirring constantly with the whisk to prevent any lumps from forming, and then stir consistently or constantly until a wake is formed in the path of your spoon, showing that it's reaching the right consistency. Then pour it out onto an oven-safe baking pan, smooth out into a nice even 1/2-inch layer, and then score it into 12 evenly sized squares with your knife. Put in the broiler and broil for several minutes until it starts to turn golden brown on top. Then take out, turn over each square, and repeat on the other side. For the beans, we'll sort 2 cups to remove rocks and debris. Cover them with water overnight to soak. The next morning, we'll pour off that water, we'll rinse them, and then we'll add them to our pressure cooker or stock pot or slow cooker. In this case, we're using a pressure cooker because it's quick and easy. Cover with 1 inch of water. Add some sea vegetables if you'd like, because they add some great nutrients like iodine. You just want to be careful to get sea vegetables that don't have too much iodine. The ones I recommend are nori sheets, the simple nori sheets that you can snack on. They're crunchy and tasty. Dulse flakes, that's D-U-L-S-E. Dried arame, A-R-A-M-E, or seaweed salad. You get one of these, you add a little bit of it to your cooking water. They're going to help to break down some of the carbohydrates that can be hard for people to digest, making less gas and less bloating. And also they add some of those beneficial nutrients, some of those vitamins and minerals like iodine that's important for our health. Here we've got the finalized product where we've got these fluffy, nice textured beans that come out of the pressure cooker. To flavor the beans, we'll toast 1 teaspoon of whole fennel seeds until they're golden brown. Then using a mortar and pestle, we'll grind them coarsely. So not fine, but just a coarse grind. Then we'll saute 1.5 tablespoons of minced garlic and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. We'll add our beans and we'll add our 1 teaspoon of ground fennel seeds. and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne or chili flakes for a bit of kick. For the greens, you can quickly remove the stems by taking a thumb and index finger on one hand, holding it at the base, and then using the thumb and the index finger of your other hand, gently pulling down along the stem for a quick and easy way to remove the leaves from your hardy greens like kale or chard. Next, we can coarsely chop all of our greens. We can remove our stems and use them later in a smoothie or vegetable stock. And a little tip on knife safety. With your knife hand, you always want to pinch the knife between your thumb and forefinger, and then you want to gently grasp the handle with your other 3 fingers, right? Gently pinch the gently pinch the blade with your knife and forefinger. You can see me doing that here and here. And then with your other hand, you want to keep a claw shape that keeps your fingertips out of the way so that they don't get cut off or badly cut with an unwanted trip to the emergency room, after you make a mistake with the knife. So that's a very important knife tip. It takes a while to get good with knives. We've talked about practice. Practice, practice, practice. Do it right. Use the correct form. This hand in the shape of a claw, this hand pinching the knife here and then holding with the other 3 fingers. You will get better. Sauteing, we're going to take all the greens but using the stems first because they're more hardy. We can use the chard stems because they're not as hard as the kale stems. We'll saute the chard stems for a few minutes before we add the leaves and 2 teaspoons of olive oil, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 1 tablespoon red wine vinegar. Vinegar is a wonderful ingredient. There are so many different kinds with lots of different flavor profiles. They add a sour, bitter flavor that helps us to reduce the amount of sodium or salt that we need in recipes, which helps for blood pressure control. Many people suffer from high blood pressure. The chief way to reduce blood pressure is lowering the amount of salt in our diet, and vinegar helps us do that. It also helps with blood sugar control to avoid diabetes, or for people who are living with prediabetes or diabetes to help them better control their blood sugars. It helps us burn excess body fat, another great tool that vinegar has in its tool belt to improve our health. And then one last thing, but it's only one among many more, it helps break down the greens in a way that makes a number of different nutrients, like key minerals in those greens, easier for our bodies to absorb. So use your vinegars, use them in lots of different recipes, from sauteing greens to making your salad dressings, etc., because they're a wonderful ingredient. Finally, the plated product, we have several polenta cakes on the bottom with that wonderful texture, the smooth, kind of creamy, chewy interior that's nice and moist, the lightly crusty exterior texture, the beans on top with their savory flavors that have been sauteed in the fennel seeds and the cayenne pepper with the olive oil and garlic, and then topped with a generous serving of those greens that are lightly flavored with a little bit of salt and, of course, the red wine vinegar. Next, we're going to move on to our simple salad with 2 dressings. Salads are a wonderful way to incorporate more fruits, more vegetables, but also more fruits, nuts, seeds, etc. into our diets. Starting out with this spring mix, the spring mix comes with 5 or more different types of greens already in the mix. That's 5 or more different types of vegetables when you have 5 or more lettuces inside of that bin. So you've already at a winning advantage when it comes to eating more vegetables, just getting one of these mixes. Then add lots of different veggies in there. In this case, it's a simple salad. We made it really quick. Thinly sliced purple cabbage and carrots. But you can add lots of different fruits and vegetables into your salads to make them more nutritious and delicious. So, for the dressings. Homemade French dressing. French dressing is something that lots of people love. It's got a sweetness to it, a savoriness to it that makes it really enjoyable. But a store-bought version can be really high in salt and sugar. When you make it at home, it's fresher, it tastes just as good or better, and it utilizes less salt and sugar so that we can know that we're eating something more nutritious as a result. You've got your ingredients here. Add them all together, throw them in a blender or use a submersion blender in any glass or dish, and quickly make a great dressing. If you want something different, we have a balsamic vinaigrette. Balsamic goes with many different types of flavors and recipes. We have our ingredients here. Many of these ingredients for both dressing recipes are simple staples that most of us already have on hand in our cupboards, pantries, or refrigerators. Mix these ingredients in a bowl or in your blender. Quickly blend them up until they're smooth and they're ready for your salad. Dressings are great ways to spice up and make something like a salad really flavorful so that we eat more of our veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds to better our health. Finally, our sweet finish to satisfy that sweet tooth. The Native American Parfait layered with corn mush and apples and mixed berries. To make the mush, we'll take 1 cup of finely ground white or blue cornmeal, your preference, or you can do both, and you'll see what that looks like in one moment. And mix it with 1.5 cups of cold water and 1 teaspoon culinary ash. You're going to mix that with your whisk until you get rid of all the clumps. Then you're going to add that mixture of 1 cup cornmeal, 1.5 cups cold water, and 1 teaspoon culinary ash to 2 cups of boiling water. Slowly pour it in while constantly stirring, and then constantly stir to prevent burning until that mush reaches the desired little bit thicker consistency. For our fruit filling, we want to take 4 cups peeled, cored, and chopped apples, 1 cup frozen apple juice concentrate, 2 cups unsweetened applesauce, and 4 cups of mixed berries that can be fresh or frozen. Put them into a nice big stock pot and then cook them down while stirring regularly to prevent burning until it starts to get thicker and all those flavors start to combine. And as a lot of that water starts to cook off, it's in all these fruits and it starts to thicken, the natural sugars inside of those fruits will get concentrated and you'll end up with a really sweet filling. If you need a little bit more sweetness, you can add a couple of tablespoons of agave syrup to give it that extra sweet that you're looking for. Next, we're going to put them in these beautiful glasses to create our parfaits. So in this case, we've got blue corn mush at the bottom, a layer of our apple berry mixture, and then white corn mush with a layer on top of the apple berry mixture. Or you can do 2 layers of white or 2 layers of blue, depending on what you've made. In this case, we've got 2 layers of blue interlaced with 2 layers of our apple berry compote, and then it's topped with some toasted chopped pecans and some sprigs of mint to create a really beautiful presentation. This looks good. When food looks good, it starts talking to our taste buds and getting us excited to eat it. And then it's going to, of course, taste delicious, and it's very nutritious. This is a guilt-free dessert that you're going to want to make over and over again. Finally, why it's worth it 2.0. Better quality of life. We feel better when we eat better, and then it's a cyclical process that reinforces itself. When we feel better, we're more likely to have the energy to cook nutritious food on a consistent basis. And when we're consuming that nutritious, delicious food over time, it leads to really great health so that we can avoid some of the pitfalls of chronic disease, chronic pain, chronic debilitation, and enjoy time with doing the things and with the people that we love most. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. My name is Gabriel Garden, and my program manager is Rita Condon. Our contact information is here if you would like to reach out. Please take good care, eat lots of plants, and enjoy living the good life.